this time, I would like to read the proclamation. Whereas Frank Denny Petta was born on July 30th, 1944 in Dallas, Texas, and he was the first chief of police in Wilmer, Texas. And whereas he was the patriarch of his family and the proud father of the daughter, grandfather of 8, and great-grandfather of 17. And whereas Frank was the son of Frank and Emma Petta, the brother of George Howard Petta, the father of Doris Deanne Fitzgerald, who all preceded him in death. And whereas he was a blessing to those around him, and not only positioned himself to encourage and support his family, but also to motivate friends and loved ones and everyone he met. And whereas Frank was not only a well-respected police officer, but an outstanding fenceman. And whereas it is with deep sadness that we acknowledge the untimely passing of Frank Denny Petta, beloved husband of Mayor Sheila Petta, and a cherished member of our community. And whereas Frank Denny Petta touched the lives of all who knew him, leaving an indelible mark on the hearts of his friends, family, neighbors. And whereas Frank Denny Petta was known for his kindness, generosity, and unwavering dedication to his loved ones, and his loss has left a void in the lives of those who had the privilege of knowing him. And whereas Mayor Sheila Petta has shown remarkable strength and resilience during this difficult time, and the city of Wilmer extends its deepest condolences to her and her family during this period of mourning. And whereas the city of Wilmer, in recognizing the loss of such an important member of our community, stands in support of Sheila Petta and her family as they navigate this painful chapter of their lives. Now, therefore, I, Linda Diane Nealon, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Wilmer, and on behalf of the Council of the City of Wilmer, do hereby proclaim Thursday, March 20, 2025, as Frank Denny Petta, a celebration of life day. And I ask all of you who are present today to hold your memories and remember Chief Petta, that is always in your heart.
Please excuse me, and I want to thank all of you. My heart's heavy, but I've got a job to do, and with the Lord's help, I'll get it done. Thank you all. Community announcements.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, wanted to go ahead and give you an update on our upcoming events. April 12th at EBJ School, we will have our Easter egg hunt there from 10 to 2. Please come out and join us. Please come out and celebrate with us. Also, Wipe Out Waste is scheduled for Saturday, April 26th from 9 to 2. We will have a volunteer checklist for anybody that wants to come out and volunteer to clean up our litter, our creeks, to do a creek and litter pickup. And we will also hope that the community also goes ahead and takes the opportunity to do a little spring cleaning and bring all of their trash out to City Square and drop off your trash with Waste Management here with us that day. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Kristen, do we have any community?
We have one. We have Miss Linda Nealon.
Miss Nealon, please state your name and your address, and you will have 3 minutes, ma'am.
My name is Linda Diane Nealon. My address is 316 South Good Road, also known as So Good Road. First of all, I'd like to thank Miss Rona and Wayne, I don't guess he's here, but anyone else who had anything to do with putting our speed bumps down on Good Road. These bumps are very low key and they're not obnoxious, which is the way I asked for them. But hopefully they will be a gentle reminder to everyone who drives down a road to know that it's not a racetrack. Now, the second thing I wanted to say is with regard to the Wipe Out Waste event. This is right down my alley because I would like to speak about the litter in this town. Several things come to mind when I talk about that subject. Back when Lyndon Johnson was president, Lady Bird launched a national campaign about beautification, and she encouraged everyone to plant wildflowers. Another thing, that was right around the time that the "Don't Mess with Texas" slogan came to be. And the most meaningful one to me was there was a commercial on TV that showed a Native American Indian looking out across his lands and seeing the clutter and the litter and the trash that we people have thrown on their property. And he saw a big old tear coming down from his eye. I don't know if all of you remember that, but I do. And the reason that it's so meaningful to me is because that's about how I feel every afternoon when I drive home from work. I have lived on my family property all my life. It's been in our family since 1876, and I take great pride in my home and my town. And it just breaks my heart when I drive down there and see the trash that has been thrown out that lands on my property. And so I stop every afternoon and pick up trash, 1 to 3 bags every single day. And I've lived there all my life, and this has only begun to be a problem when the second set of apartments were occupied. The first set of apartments has a security gate on the back side of Good Road, or facing Good Road, and the residents have to exit and enter on the service road. The second phase does not have such a gate, and so the people leave Beltline and drive down Good Road and turn into the apartments from the back. Now, I don't mind the traffic if they don't speed, but I do mind the fact that they throw out trash day after day after day after day, and I've even had people throw out the trash when I'm picking it up. So, I would really like for the council and the town collectively to make a concerted effort to encourage our people to regain the respect for our town and our home and our state, our city, our own homes and property. There is absolutely no reason to throw anything out. And so when we have this Wipeout Waste event. I'd like for it to spread a little further and maybe get to the people and have them regain the respect that we
3
need.
minutes.
Thank you.
Action, Ms. Roman.
Do what?
You can read it.
Oh, okay. Action item 1, discuss and consider the approval of October 1st, 2024 through January 31st, 2025 monthly financials.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. I'd like to introduce Patricia Albrecht, who will provide the presentation this evening for the financials. Unfortunately, we could not get the system up, but we did provide copies at the dais that she will walk you through.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's a pleasure to be here tonight to present the financials to you. I'm going to go slide by slide, page by page like you have on your printout. And this financial presentation is for the period of October 1st, 2024 to January 31st, 2025. So if you flip your page to the second page, you'll see that we will be covering the general fund first. Third page will show just a snapshot of your general fund revenues for that period. Now, I know that you have the detailed financials in your binders that were passed out to you in your packet tonight. The purpose of this presentation is to just give you a snapshot and an overview of that time period. So for the general fund, the total revenues collected as of 1/31/25 are $10.6 million. That is way above what we should be trending at right now as we approach January 31st. That's about 33% of the way into our fiscal year. So the main thing that you will notice is that your property taxes have been collected 100%, which is a really good sign in this small town. Everybody's paying their taxes. So you can see the first line in this slide where it says the actuals are about $7 million, which is about 114% of the budgeted numbers. Sales taxes are also trending very well. As you know, the state comptroller sends us, or sends the city, the funds for sales taxes 2 months behind. So we're always 2 months behind. However, it's looking very well. It's about 41% of budgeted revenues. And the rest of the numbers also look pretty good. I won't go line by line on those because I want to talk to you about the next page, which is a pie chart of the revenues as of January 31st. Now this pie chart is shown as a percentage of revenue source collected that makes up the $10.6 million that we have collected so far. As you can see, most of that, the 90% that we have collected of the total revenues are taxes. So that's your major revenue source, property taxes and sales taxes. And then the rest of the revenue sources you can see there are a smaller slice of that pie. The next page shows the general fund expenditures. And so right here is a snapshot of 2 of the sections of the general fund expenditures and the budget. You can see the general government and you can see public safety. So when you look at the general government, we're about 37% of the budgeted expenditures, which is right on track. Some expenditures that come in are kind of front-loaded, and it isn't necessarily a bad thing. As we move along the rest of the year, we'll see it all kind of balance out And then we approach the end of the year when it should be about 100%, and everything lines up very nicely. When we turn the page to the next one, there's the rest of your budget. And you have community services, community development, non-departmental, and again, trending the same kind of, 33%. The non-departmental, I noticed, 56% of the budget, and those are kind of some dues that are paid to TML and COG. So those are, it's not a bad thing, but we've already paid for those. And that's an annual fee to be members of TML and COG. And all, you can see that the total spent for the period from October to January is $6 million. And so when you take the revenues and subtract out your expenditures for the period, we have $4.5 million in the black. So it's looking good so far. Revenue is over expenditures, which is what we like to see. And if you look at your next page, you can see a chart, and there we want to see what is the most that we are spending at from our budgeted revenues. So public safety, it's like this in every city. Public safety is of utmost importance, and so we spend more on public safety there. You can see 49% of the expenditures are for that category, and then you can see the rest of it there, general government, you got your community development and services, and some non-departmental. So you can see the percentage there of the $6 million approximately for general fund. It is looking good. It is a good sign that we have gotten all of the property tax revenues that were budgeted and then some. Now, in that property tax line also, we are including like delinquent taxes, penalties and interest that, the tax assessor charges and so forth. But the majority of it is your current ad valorem taxes. So if you turn to your next page, I'll just put a real synopsis of it, the total revenue over the total expenses. And again, you can see there your actuals of the $4.5 million that is going into the fund balance and carried over into the next month. So that's the general fund. Next page, we are going to delve into the water and sewer fund. Following the same presentation format, you can see the water and sewer fund income. So you have a budget of about $4 million of total income. Right now, we are at $1.6 million in actual water and sewer sales and some current services, other services, and miscellaneous income that we include in the water and sewer fund, which is about 40% of the total budget, so we're looking good there as well. The next page will show you the pie chart. So what is the percentage of the $1.6 million? What is the major income source? And that is your current services, which are your water and sewer sales. The next page, we look at the water and sewer fund expenses. And you can see there's about $3.4 million budgeted. We have spent about $1.6 million, and about 48% of the budget, again, there are some expenses that are contractual services, such as payments to the city of Dallas, where I think you purchase your water from, and you get your wastewater treated, so sometimes they charge a little bit more upfront. So it still looks good. When you go to your next page, you can see the same type of chart, what makes up most of the expenses. It's what I just said right now, your payments to the city of Dallas for purchases of water and wastewater treatment. The following page will also show you the little synopsis of, just at a glance, your budget, your actuals, income to expense, how are we doing in that regards, and we're doing well. When you subtract that out, it's about a $23,000 difference there, and that goes into the fund balance for the next month. Any questions so far on those funds? Okay, we will go now to the component units, which are your Wilmer Community Development Corporation, same time period, October 1st to January 31st. It's a smaller fund, so I put everything into one page, the revenue and expenditures, so you'll see your budget, your budgeted revenues, budgeted expenditures, and then your revenues are sales tax revenue and a little bit of interest income. And we do have the total expenditures exceeding for this time period the revenues. And again, we are 2 months behind on the sales taxes. So, you know, we'll catch up as the months go by and as the year continues on. For now, the fund balance covers any overage that is in that particular fund. Next page, a pie chart that shows you, as of January 31st, the percentage of revenue source, and we know that that's sales tax for this component unit. The following page will show you the expenditures and what are we spending the most of the $1.4 million. There's some grants there, other incentives. I think it's you have an agreement with Medline, I believe, and so those are payments that we give to them, or we pay them every quarter. Next page is the Wilmer Economic Development Corporation. And the following page will show you also a little snapshot of the revenues and expenditures. It looks a lot like the CDC as far as sales tax revenue is what drives the both component units. And you can see here $975,000 in revenues, $928,000 in expenditures. And there's a difference there that is carried over into fund balance. And they exceeded the expenditures this period by $47,000, which is a good thing. The next page will show you the same pie chart. And again, it's sales tax revenue that drives this fund. And you will see there it's 98%. The following page, that chart will show you the percentage expenditure source that makes up the $928,000. Again, there are some development incentives in that fund, and that makes up most of the expenditures. Pretty straightforward for those two component units, and I'm here to answer any questions if you have them.
Council, do you have any questions?
Mayor and council, Councilmember Jacobs sent some questions regarding the budget, and we have made note of those, but I did want to read them into the record, and then we can pull those specific expenses to tell you what they are in detail. If you would like us to, I believe Councilmember Slaw mentioned that she wanted to potentially,
I'd like to have it reset.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I
Yes,
run on
ma'am.
my paperwork at home, so have it reset to the next council meeting, and I'm still working on stuff like Mara's looking at.
Okay, so may I read what her questions were into the record? And then we'll make sure that we bring the details back at the next council meeting to be able to answer that as well. So one of the questions was asking on the garbage collection. So we reflect garbage collections in public works. although we charge it on the water bill, there are other items that are charged within the water bill, and so we reflect it in Public Works, which is in the general fund. Thank you, Patricia, sorry. And then, that is under the, category of contractual services. So, if you will recall, we do have Lennar Homes that is currently being, constructed and being sold. We have some other homes that are being built in the existing part of the neighborhoods. And so, when we propose the budget, we propose it based on the numbers that we had last year. That does not include any new, construction. So, we just wanted to make that part of it clear. Did I answer all of your questions, Councilman?
So
Was
does
there
this get
anything else?
So does this get refunded? How does this work on?
So, there is a revenue account, since this is an enterprise fund. The revenues that are collected should offset it.
The reason I'm questioning, I'm sorry. The
I don't
reason-
think these are working.
Okay. it was good. My question was, since it goes into like the water fund, how does the water fund reimburse the city? I've never noticed it's in the past. Maybe it's been there.
So you see, due from and due to in some of, in our journal entries. So, at the end of every month, we do a due from and due to. So this is actually in the general fund, and then, the water portion stays in the water fund, and then whatever the difference is, you know, we try to bill for the amount that we're being billed for, but it gets reimbursed, back to this fund, which is general.
So in
It's
the long
collected in the
run,
water, but reimbursed in,
so in the long run, it will go back to zero, but,
it should.
okay.
Yeah, we just try to make sure that we're billing the same amount that we're collecting. You know, that's part of the analysis.
And
each
for my
month.
council members, that's page 16 of 42, if you're wondering what that is.
Okay. And then the next one is, so we talked through, the salaries. So when, we presented the budget, if you will recall, staff requested a 7% cost of living adjustment. We did not bake that number into the budget, the proposed budget. I do not make assumptions that the council is going to approve that. And so if you'll recall, at the end of the presentation, we said, we would like to propose a 7% cost of living adjustment. We gave you a number, at the end of the presentation. So these salaries, are not reflective of, that 7% cost of living adjustment, that's what we're trying to, confirm, and we can bring that information back to bring the spreadsheet of what it ended up being after the 7%.
Okay. Well, my question is, many of the personnel are already close to 50% of what's been budgeted.
Yes.
So are we looking at doing
A
line?
budget amendment.
Okay.
So what you're looking at are line by lines, and so part of what, some of our support is doing is to help us to structure, internally, that the line by line is a budget adjustment, and in the ordinance, you allow me to do the budget adjustments, as long as I don't go over that bottom line, that is a budget amendment. You all will see a budget amendment for the previous year. We're working toward the 24 audit. We're waiting on, a draft audit for 23, if you'll recall from the last meeting. And then, you will see those numbers change in the budget amendment to reflect, what you all approved in the budget for the cost of living adjustment. Did I answer your question on that one? And then the next one is, what is this in contracted services for planning and zoning? Is this the company that we hired? Yes. So that was added to the budget, but it will be cost neutral because we have savings from the position that we were unable to hire. So when we get a contractor in there, then we take those savings that is within that budget, cost savings, since we've not had a full-time person. And so as a matter of what the finance does as a part of their structure, they want to show what that item is. I think that came up during the discussion of one of the previous financials, that if we're gonna show what we're really doing to show that in other professional services, although it's not showing the specific thing, that will be reflected in once we get our fund software in place, then you'll be able to see the detail in there, which I believe that's something you brought up. Yes, yes.
That's good.
But we wanted to reflect it where we were taking the money from, as opposed to, we could have put it in the salary, but you wouldn't have known that that's the contractor versus a full-time person in there. And then, I think Patricia mentioned the non-departmental, what's included in there. Additionally, that's where we pay the Medline incentive from the general fund side, and then the incentive is split between EDC and CDC from a previously signed agreement.
My question was, it's paying workers' compensation, COBRA, and all this, so is that
So
for
if you
every
think about it,
employee?
yes, so if you think about it, it's what is across the city versus per department within general fund. If it's a component unit or enterprise funds, it's taken from those funds. And then the events budget. So yes, we place some of the events items in the non-departmental because it's a citywide event. But if you recall in the presentation, we did say that we would like for the Community Development Corporation to provide some relief to the general fund, since that's where we pay some of the salaries for special events and for senior services. And so we will make sure that that is correctly reflected, that some of it should have been coded there, but some of it should have been coded to Community Development Corporation. And so that's why that's high. That is
I was just
the
concerned-
need of a budget adjustment.
I was just concerned that I don't even see us making it through 4th of July.
No, ma'am, and some of it was, charged from, it was after October 1st, that some of the bills came in. So when, the audit comes up, they will, do some of the adjustments that if it was supposed to be in the previous, budget year, that we can get those adjustments at that time.
And what happened at Christmas for it to be such, we only budgeted $1,500. I was sick that night, so I did not go to the tree lighting. And it's a great event for the community, but, we spent a whole lot more than what was budgeted. So I was just wondering, what happened that night? What was going
So
on?
I would say we actually saved money because there were at least 3 to 4 vendors that did not charge us. I believe we'd have to go back and pull it, which we'll bring back to you. We believe it may not have been coded in the right place because it was a portion of it that was in non-department, a portion should have been in CDC. That's why it's high. And I believe that was all that I had. Okay.
And I did notice that gas, and it was higher by a whole lot. And you can't make predictions about electricity and gas. You can only make, but from the library fund, from the administration to community center, it looked like every one of the natural gas bill, like this one, utilities, it's already at 95% for the.
We look at the previous 2 to 3 years to try to predict but when the prices go up, I
Thankfully-
guess.
Thankfully,
electric-
summer's coming, maybe it will be
Yes.
that.
Yeah, that's when it goes down, so that's for heating with the city. We did have a colder winter. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
We will be going into executive session. Ms. Downs?
Point of order, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Are we gonna act on this financial?
Yes.
It's your discretion, point of order. It's up to your
Councilmember
discretion.
Sloan,
You can either call you can either call the question, or you can not call the question. But you need to kind of sort it, and that's what we're doing.
I think Councilmember Slough has a request, Mayor.
Yes, I'd like to request that, have this reset to the next council meeting where I'm still working on mine,
Yes.
going through it, and I'd like to have it reset.
Okay.
I make a motion to
Okay.
If, point of order, if I may, Mayor, can we have a date of certainty? So we have to have a date of certainty.
that,
Correct.
just to the next council meeting.
What's the date?
April the 3rd.
Right, that's right, on the second Wednesday.
April 3rd.
April the 3rd.
April the 3rd?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It passes 5-0. Okay, we will now go into executive session. Ms. Kristen Downs, will you please?
In accordance with the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Subchapter D, the City Council will now recess into executive session, closed meeting, to discuss the following. A, pursuant to 551.087 of the Texas Government Code, to seek legal consultation with the city attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney of the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter, to wit, incentive agreement by and between the city and Project Blue Agave. B, pursuant to 551.087 of the Texas Government Code, to seek legal consultation with the city attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with the chapter, to wit, incentive agreement by and between the city and Project Echo.
At this time, we will recess our regular session at 7:55 and move into executive session. We are now reconvening into regular session at 8:31. Ms. Downs?
The City Council will reconvene into regular session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551, Subchapter D, Texas Government Code, to take any action necessary regarding A, pursuant to 551.087 of the Texas Government Code, to seek legal consultation with the city attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter, to wit, incentive agreement by and between the city and Project Blue Agave. B, pursuant to 551.087 of the Texas Government Code, to seek legal consultation with the city attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter, to wit, incentive agreement by and between the city and Project Echo.
Council,
Madam Mayor, I move to, Madam Mayor, I move to approve forwarding Project Blue Agave, allowing the city administrator to facilitate the will of the council.
thank you. May I get a second?
A second.
May I have your vote?
Yes.
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 It will be 5-0. And it is 8:33 and we are adjourned.